Okay, I'm going to take you through using Draw.io to draw a network diagram. So the first thing you need to do is go to the Draw.io website and you should see this pop-up window. I'm going to choose to save my diagrams to the device. Okay, once I've done that, I want to select Create New Diagram, Blank Diagram, Create. Okay, so now I need the network shapes. How I get to those is at the bottom left of the screen, there's more shapes. I'm going to click on that, and that brings up the shapes window. I'm going to scroll down to networking and select the network shape and apply. So now if I scroll down on the left window, you'll see I've got the network shapes over here. Alright, before I start, I'm just going to, on the right window, over in paper size, I'm going to set it to A4 and landscape, just so I've got some more room. The other thing you can do, if you like, so you can see a bit more of the window, is you can reset your view, so 75%, just so I can see a bit more of the window. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add the internet or cloud. And the great thing about Draw is that when you wave your mouse over the shapes, it'll tell you what the icons are for. So in this case, use the cloud to represent the internet. And I'm going to add that to my drawing. Now, while it's still selected, I can type in a name for this shape. So I'm going to call it the internet. Alright, and next I want to add a router. So I need to find that. I'm just going to hover over until I find it. Here we go. Select and drag it. Okay, and I'm going to name that router. Now the way I can connect is when you see there's a little arrow, if I click on that and drag it to the other shape, it'll connect them. Now it defaults to having an arrow, which I don't want, so I'm going to select the arrow over in the right hand window pane and say none. So let's turn that off. And I can also label my lines as well. So in this case I'm going to label it board and cable. Alright, so this represents really the outside of the business. Now what I want to do is add a firewall in, and I'm going to connect that to the router. Now, as you can see, I didn't name my firewall, but if any time you miss naming something, you just need to click back on it when it's selected. I can then name it firewall. Alright, from the firewall, I'm going to have a switch. So again, I'm going to look for my switch. Here it is. I'm going to name that switch, and I'm going to attach to the firewall. Now from the switch, there's an e-commerce server and a web server. Now there is an icon for web server somewhere, there it is. But there actually isn't one for the e-commerce server, but what I can do is just use this server icon, and I can call it e-commerce server. And this one's our web server. And then I want to connect both of these to the switch. Okay, so also from the firewall, I'm going to have another router. And I'm going to connect that to the firewall. And from the router, I want to have another switch. Which, if I can remember where that was, there it is. So I'm going to switch. Might put that a bit more down so I can fit things in. Switch. And connect that to my router. Oops. Now from my switch, I'm going to have some workstations. So they're called PCs. I'm just going to add some workstations in. And I might call that workstation 1, workstation 2, and workstation 3. And I want to connect all of those to the switch. Oops, I've just rotated it instead. Put him back. Alright, so you need the arrow. Now the problem is sometimes. So see how now it's going through this computer? I don't really want it to do that. What I can do is grab this line and move it. So I've changed the direction because I don't want it to look like it's going through this workstation. Alright, I'm going to connect this one up. And again, I don't want it to look like it's going through workstation 1, so I'm just going to pick up the line and move it. And now I'm going to connect workstation 1. Alright, so the other thing we have is an access point, which is also meaning a wireless access. So I've got these two icons. It doesn't really matter which one you use as long as you label it. I might just pull this one over. And I'm just going to call it my access point, meaning people can connect to it wirelessly. And that is also going to be attached to the switch. Now the diagram that I'm copying has a couple of laptops. I'll just add one in. And then obviously if you had a smartphone you could connect that as well. Now I'll just show you this as in the diagram the line is actually dotted. If you wanted to do that, we would come back over to the right window pane, click on the pattern, and I could change that to dotted. I'll just label that as laptop. Now off my router, I also have some other servers. I'll add in print server. And I think there might be a print server, I can't remember. I'll just add in a server and label that print server. And I want to connect that to my router. And now it's set to those dots. I'm going to change it back to a solid line. And from the print server, I have some printers. Now there's this little printer, but in the office I think you'd more likely have these bigger printers. So I'll add in a couple of these. This one might be the office printer. And this one might be the marketing printer. And then I need to connect these to the print server. So you could probably also see I'm running out of room a little bit. You can sort of move things around and the lines will follow now. The other thing I can do is resize if I'm running out of room a bit. I might like to resize them to try and fit them in better. Yep. That's another thing we can do with this. Now once you're happy with your diagram, don't forget you need to save it. It actually says up the top here, unsaved changes. Click here to save. Now this is saving it as an XML file, which you can then open up and edit later if you like. So I might do that as save file. But you can't submit an XML file. That'll just be garbage essentially. What you need to do is export as and choose some sort of image would be fine. So I might save it as a JPEG on this device. I can give it a name as well. My network diagram. I can't spell. Network diagram. And download onto this device. I don't want to open it, I want to save it. Okay. And that means later on I've got something I can submit. Alright, I hope that was helpful. Any questions you can ask anytime. Thank you.